Well, I want to tell you a story, and it's about a man at my height, and his name's Brian, and he's a minister at a Unitarian Universalist church. Who do you think that is, Milo? Is there someone else with the same name as you? Well, this a rhyming name. Well, thank you for that. Well, this person's got the same name as me. He's the same height as me. He's got the same job as me. So who do you think it might be? It might be me. Well, I was reading the newspaper one day, and I was getting really depressed because you look at the newspaper and there's a lot of sad things going on in the world. And I thought, why doesn't someone do something about this? I got really, really kind of disappointed and angry. And so I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I can't do anything about it, so I'm going to go shopping. So I went to the mall. I was walking around the mall. I saw the shop, and I saw the clothes shop, and I saw the cell phone shop, and then I saw the shoe shop. And I saw this other shop, and I'm like, I have no idea what they're selling in there. So I went in and said, excuse me, what do you sell in here? He said, we sell whatever you want. What? He said, we sell whatever you want. I said, really? He said, yeah, look around. So I looked around and I saw, oh, better treatment of dogs and cats. Notice I said cats. I'm inclusive. And that's an in-joke. Apologize if you're not familiar with that. And I saw this other one saying environmental sustainability. And I saw this better food for families and world peace. And I'm going, you can't. I went back to the person. He said, you can't possibly sell those. He said, yes, you just ask whatever you want and we can bring that. I said, really? I said, well, I'd like world peace. I'd like environmental sustainability. I'd like better treatment of animals. I'd like, just food for everyone. And he said, okay, let me go and get it. So he went away. He walked over. And he came back. He said, here you are. I said, really? I said, what is it? He said, there's the seeds for each of those things. But it's really up to you to plant it, to nurture it, and to care for it and work for it. And then you might get it. I said, really? I have to do the work? I want other people to get world peace. I want other people to get the environment. I want other people to look after dogs and cats and get food for everyone. I said, if you want it, you need to work for it. So I took the seed. I said, what do I do with it? He said, well, you don't put it in a plate like this. The seed's not going to grow. But if you put it in a plant like this, and you nurture it, and you take care of it, and you water it, it will grow. And you might need to plant lots of seeds for it to help, to make a difference. But if you plant all those seeds, I think you'll get what you want. And I was angry with that answer. So I was storming out, I was walking out the place, and I stopped, and I thought about it. What do you think I should do, Milo? You think I should plant the seeds? Yeah, I think you're right. So that's what we try and do in this community. We try and plant those seeds for those things we care about. I mean, Jason mentioned we want better democracy, we want environmental sustainability, we want better economic equality. But we have to work and plant the seeds, and that's what this community does. We try and nurture those things that we really care about. And I know the theme for this month is justice and equity, and you'll be talking about that in your classes this month. So thank you very much for listening, and thanks for coming forward, Milo and Neil. And it's time for your religious education classes, and we'll sing the children out. So they say people's two greatest fears public speaking and talking about money. And I'm about to do both. So I hope you notice how brave I am. But what better way to start an awkward topic than diverting it with humour? So I want to start with a story. And it's a story of this man who was very obsessed about his money. And towards the end of his life, he said to his partner, he said, you know, when I die, I want you to take my half of the money and put it in the casket and bury it with me. And his wife said, his partner said, why? You can't do it. It won't do you any good. He said, but I want to keep the money with me. He said, no. I said, I think that's just a total waste. And they said, no, you have to promise me you're going to do it. So his partner said, I promise you, I will do that. So she wrote a check and put it in the casket. There's always a solution if you think about it. That song we just heard is called Faith is a Forest. And it's apt. I think, Ed was talking about his time in theological school. And I know when I was in seminary, some of the books I read on theology were like going through a really dense forest. But then again, think of forest as a metaphor for religious community. Because trees are stronger in a forest, or at least trees of the same kind are stronger in a forest than they are by themselves. And they nurture each other. It's been proven by science recently that if one tree is struggling, other trees will supply nutrients to it through the connected roots. And I don't know if any of you saw there's a fabulous documentary a few years ago called Fabulous Fungi about mushrooms. Yeah, I see some nodding heads here. And they said that even fungi, if they see a tree's in distress, will supply nutrients to it. And I love that idea. And I love that idea as a metaphor for religious community, because we are stronger together. Because life has its challenges. And with challenges, sometimes the only way I've got through it is through the support of community. And I'd like to share this poem by a friend of mine, Reverend Dr. Megan Bisa. She's a chaplain down in Southern California. She said, I had dreams about anywhere else but here, but our faith kept me close. I believed I had done something to deserve it. Our faith shouted, no. I tried to imagine it never happened, but our faith reminded, yes, grief is real. I thought I might die, but our faith nurtured my life. I wondered if I was worthy of love, but our faith kept loving me. I found it impossible to forget, but our faith said, forgive yourself first. I did not know there were others. Our faith sobbed, many. Those are the words of Reverend Dr. Megan Visser. And I heard it said that the safest place anyone can be is in the center of another person's heart. The safest place any person can be is the center of another person's heart. And I think there's something more. I think the safest place any of us can be is the center of a religious community's heart, a community that cares for us, that supports us, and nurtures us. Because I love that word, nurturing, the theme for this campaign. Because nurturing doesn't just imply support and care. It certainly implies that. But there's also a thing of nurturing as an element of we want to help each other grow. There's an element of growth. We often think of parents nurturing children. And there's an element of growth as well as support and care to it. And I think that's what we need as we go into this coming year. We know it's an election year. We know there's wars going on. The Middle East is escalating. We've got the ongoing thing in the turmoil in Ukraine with the invasion by Russia. We have environmental degradation, we have uncertainty in the economy. There's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of anxiety around. And I think we need each other now more than ever. And we nurture, because through hardship and strife and struggle is often how we grow. And a community that will help us grow in healthy ways is so important. And it's often said that evolution is survival of the fittest. I think we often think by that we mean the strongest, the fastest, the most self-centered, or the most violent. But I'm reading a book by Dr. Yuval Harari called Sapien. It's about the cultural history of humanity. And it said one of the biggest evolutions, before the agricultural evolutions, before the industrial revolution, it was that when people came together through common ideals and values and worked together, they actually had this shared myths that they supported. And I think when you look at that, what evolution and why humanity did so well is because we collaborated and worked with each other and built these common myths together. And I think that's what religious community does, is we come together as a community of shared values, perhaps differing beliefs, but shared values. And that's what pulls us together. And we want to support, care, and nurture each other as we grow spiritually. And we think of human communities, and specifically religious communities, we often think of the turmoil that happens in them. Sometimes we don't behave at our best. Sometimes we struggle to be the people we want. Sometimes we question the very values. But one of the things as a Unitarian Universalist community, as a covenantal community, we are a covenantal community. We make promises to one another. It's not about a professed creed. It's about the promises we make of how we wish to be in relationship. And we acknowledge that sometimes we will be out of covenant and we are willing to be called back into covenant. It's not that we always get it right. Well, maybe you all get it right. I don't always get it right. But the idea is we know if we have done something wrong, we agree to be called back into covenant. And I always loved what the Jewish philosopher Martin Buber said, that human beings are promise-making, promise-breaking, promise-renewing people. Promise-making, promise-breaking, promise-renewing people. And that's what our covenant does. And so I think as a religious community, I see my role as a minister. I think it's a role of all of us as ministers in this congregation. We all do ministry, is to nurture one another into growth. And we often talk about love. You know I talk about love a lot. But we often think of love in the kind of intimate relationship, and we always say, I love you just the way you are. I'm not sure about that. I love you the way you are. I think I say it almost every sermon. I think, I love you, you're great, but you can do better. And I think that is really what love is. We want to love and nurture people into the people we can be, while loving them the way we are. So yes, we love it, but I don't just love you the way you are. I love you the way you are, and I love who you can be. I love who you want to strive to be, and I want to help nurture that, support that, and care for that as you move forward. And I think that's what this religious community wants to do. We want to nurture each other to be better. We want to nurture each other to be more resilient, to be more stronger, to grow our souls, to grow our spirit, to be more loving, to be more compassionate, to be more just. We want to nurture each other to cherish our life, to build our resistance, and to live into our dreams. Nurturing is what we are about. And we had a class yesterday here, and I was mentioning to people that how we really want to nurture people into a more loving community and then take that out into the wider community. It's not enough to be that just in here. We want to take that out into the Redwood City, to San Carlos, to Menlo Park, Palo Alto, to the Bay Area, to California, and to the country. And we're going to need it this year. The election's going to be ugly. It's just horrible what's going on there, and it really seems to be a race to the bottom. And we have to stand above that. And I want to nurture each of us to take the high road in that. And I know it's frustrating. People behave badly. People say rude things. People say untruths. But we have to nurture each other to take the high road, because going to the low road is not going to lead to a great place. We're going to get lost in that forest. So we need to nurture each other, and it's going to be hard. And when we're down, seek help, listen to one another, call me, contact the pastoral care team, call your friends, call your neighbours, or just come and sit in the sanctuary if you need it. Because the other thing a forest can be is a place of shelter, a place of care, and a place of safety. And that's what this religious community needs to strive to be. So it's with gratitude and with love and with generosity is how we fill our hearts. And we need to do that because we need to nurture a healing world. Because if not us, who? Are we going to be the people that plant those seeds to begin the healing for our world? I think we are. So I ask you, when you think about the religious community, when you think about supporting it, what does this religious community mean to you? How do you feel supported, cared for, and nurtured by it? How do you feel loved by this community? And do you love yourself just the way you are? Or do you love who you want to become? And do you love this religious community just the way it is? Or do you love it for where we can go together?